Good morning, you two, and welcome to Sunday Conversations. Today, I have a guest that I'm really so excited to introduce to you. This is Sheilaa Hite. And I'm going to read her bio because I think I've always thought she was just cool and magical. And we've only met one time in real life where we talked for hours and really clicked. And I know you're going to click with her too. So I'm going to read her bio and then talk a little bit about what I've asked Sheilaa to talk about with us. And so here we go. Sheilaa L. Hite is a world-class astrologer, tarot master, intuitive spellcaster, medium, author, and all-round magical being. That is totally true. As a certified life coach and life skills mentor, she specializes in helping her clients make their dreams come true. She's also a board certified hypnotherapist and past life regression guide. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that because I've done a couple and it's incredible. So I hope people will seek you out for that. A naturally gifted intuitive, she was born with the ability to see and interpret information from the ethereal plane, bringing practical solutions to both spiritual and worldly issues. She has an accuracy rate of 95 to 100% and is featured in Paulette Cooper's book, The Top 100 Psychics in America. As a catalyst of the soul and mind, her extraordinary ability to recognize, integrate, and align the energies of the four creative realms have made her mastery at teaching others how to turn lead into gold legendary. Through her company, Odysseys, grand travel experiences for the heart, spirit, body, and mind, she conducts tours and leads retreats to Egypt, France, Scotland, and other inspiring, beautiful places throughout the world. So I told you she was magical. You'll find a link in this video to Sheilaa's website and go check her out because she's so cool. So welcome, Sheilaa, to the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm so excited to have you here. I told you before we went live that I've had a couple of astrologers here who have spoken sort of generally about sort of the field of astrology. But you are the one who I wanted to bring to the table to talk specifics. And by specifics, I mean, and I am no astrologer. I always tell my audience, sometimes I'll make reference to something
Mhm.
astrological, and then I say, don't get it twisted. I'm just parroting, which is why
Mhm.
I have the experts on. But I do know that there are certain astrological planetary, um, what, configurations, I'll call them,
Yes.
that speak to our current life situation as a country. I mean,
Mhm.
so what I really hoped that you could do for us is to talk about some of those. I don't know what you call them, transits. I know the big one that everybody talks about is Pluto in Aquarius. So can you tell us a little bit about that, maybe, and then whatever else? And this is a conversation, so I may say, wait a minute, what's that mean, or whatever.
Oh, fantastic. Because sometimes I tend to lapse into astrologies unknowingly. And you'll be going, what is she saying? So
I'll pull you
you
back
need to
down
say
to
you
earth.
yes, thank you.
Okay.
Um, well, as an astrologer, I see life in our world from a particular perspective. As a human being, I see it that way too. As a woman, of course, I see it that way. And as a person of color, a Black person, I see it that way. So I look and I see it from all of these places. And the one point, one perspective point that brings it all together and makes sense to me is the astrological one because it just lays things out. You can't say, "Oh, you have an agenda," because it's there in the stars, basically. So when I'm also an activist, so I can come at this from a lot of different ways. And again, astrology pulls it all together.
Mhm.
The um, the thing that Pluto, people think that Pluto is connected with sex, death, and regeneration. And it's only a small part of what it does. What Pluto is basically Pluto and Saturn, two planets, are the great bookkeepers of the zodiac. And so with Pluto, Pluto comes along and says, well, have you grown? Have you evolved? Have you cleaned up the mess? Have you given birth to the new, what is really going to create life in the most positive form? And then Pluto doesn't even wait for you to respond. Pluto immediately starts going through your records, through your books, through your inventory.
I
And
love
it
that
doesn't
you
even,
said that. I love that you said that because here's what I was thinking. I was thinking, and what if you say, like a lot of Americans probably would say, yeah, I'm good. Clean over
mhm,
here. But you're saying Pluto checks your work.
yes, oh, yes,
Okay.
checks your work. And you could say, but I'm a good person, but I give to the whatever, but
Mhm.
I don't. And Pluto will come along and say, yes, but there are these points over here that you've conveniently ignored or you just weren't aware of. But even if you're not aware of those things, you're in this world. So part of your responsibility is to be aware that something's going on. So Pluto comes along and says, okay, whatever is happening here, we're going to look at it. Pluto is the very basic to the very highest. And we're going to look at everything. And so what you have done, the books are open to the credit side.
Mhm.
Pluto says, oh, that was fabulous. I'm going to give you this, this, and this because you've earned this, this, and this. Wonderful. What you have not done, or for whatever reason, what you have not done, Pluto says, ooh, that's on the debit side.
Mhm.
Then I'm afraid we're going to have to, and you have to start paying.
Mhm.
So Pluto lays it all out on the table, all the things that you love, all the things you hate, all the things that you fear, all of the things that everything, it lays it all out on the table and
Mhm.
gives you an opportunity to claim your power, to claim, in a sense, your partnership with divine energy.
I love that.
And yes, so Pluto comes along and like I said before, it doesn't care if you've got cute dimples. Did you do the work? And you can't say, well, I wanted to, or my dog ate my homework, because Pluto's not interested in that. So, Pluto, like every other planet in your chart, we have 10 planets that we pay attention to in Western astrology. And Pluto is one of them. And Pluto is in a particular place in everyone's chart.
Okay.
It might be in the same sign as many people because Pluto spends a lot of years in the same sign. However, will fall into one of 12 areas. We call those houses in astrology. So you've got Pluto in a sign, Pluto in a house, and it's making associations or relationships with other planets. So when somebody is born, wherever a planet is, when that planet goes all the way around the zodiac and comes back to the original place, we call that a return.
Okay.
And for instance, every 365 days, you have something called a solar return, but we call it a birthday.
Okay. Got it.
And so Pluto takes 248 years to go around the zodiac.
Years?
Years, like
Okay.
248. It's the slowest moving. The fastest moving planet we have is the moon, which takes 28 days to go around the zodiac. So
Mhm.
between 28 days and 248 years, wow, a lot's going on.
Right.
So when Pluto was in Capricorn, that was when the US was formed. The
Okay.
United States was formed with Pluto in Capricorn. Oh boy, we said unknowingly, Pluto, we're going to transform Capricorn structures, societies, governments. We're going to transform and we're going to make it something powerful, something new, and something that works for everybody. And because Pluto is there working for everyone on an intimate level and an outward level, and Capricorn is about society and government and all those things I listed before. So when Pluto was in Capricorn, it also fell in the United States second house. The second house is, among other things, money for
Mhm.
sure. How we earn money, where we get it from, our deepest storehouses of money. It also rules, which a lot of people overlook, the second house rules values, especially self value. So Pluto is in Capricorn in the US's second house of their own value. So we as a country tend to believe our value is based on our stuff or our money or if we can get it.
Interesting. Well,
Yes.
that would explain how we developed capitalism, for example, as our
Mhm.
mode of operating.
Right. Yes. We went, and Pluto is powerful and strong. So it really went for it. Great. That's fantastic. However, part of how we developed that capital, we have one thing, and Pluto deals with not, I wouldn't say the original sin, but it deals with your baseline sin, your baseline energy. And our baseline energy as a nation, as the United States, is slavery.
Which
Because
is a currency. People were considered a currency as part of that.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes, they were property and you would buy and sell them and you would do what you wanted with them as well as it brought money in. It was
Yeah.
commerce. So this
And this is
started
in the
about,
narrow. I mean, you're talking about the founding of the country. So this
I am talking about,
understanding
yes.
of slavery and
Mhm.
its value is sort of seeded into the marrow of the
Mhm.
nation.
It is the warp and the woof of the fabric
Yeah.
of this country. It
Yeah.
just is. We have two. We have slavery, and that's bringing Africans here, kidnapping them, bringing them here. And then we have the genocide and the theft of the land of Native Americans. So we have two.
Right.
And
Right.
those are the two that we're always dealing with. And we as a nation that we're always ignoring.
Mhm. Now, why do we ignore it? Is it because we take it for granted because it's in the marrow and everything was founded on that, so it's sort of a given as opposed to something to examine?
I feel that we ignore it because it's unpleasant to look at. What's unpleasant? Our part in it. When I say our part, I mean our part as a nation.
Yeah,
As a nation, you have to tell the truth about anything if you ever want to heal anything.
that's right.
So, as a nation, people came over here fleeing persecution and immediately looked at the people who lived here, whose home it was, and said, "Oh, we can steal this. We can have this." And Christopher Columbus is one of his more famous sayings is he was explaining that the people here, once he found, were gentle, they were generous, they were kind, they were helpful. And then he said, which will make it even easier to subdue them. That's what he thought of all of that. So you have people come here, they saw what they wanted to see. They said, we can form our own country and we'll just get rid of what's in the way of that. And it would be like somebody coming into your house
Hmm.
and saying, I'm going to live here now, you're out.
Hmm.
So from 1619, about then to here, we have not addressed this issue. By
Hmm.
the time we got to 1776, we were being led by, and people think, and I know that Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, yada, 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 all very great in whatever ways they were great. However, and I wrote this down. It was the day after the election, and it just came to me, and I wrote it down. And I said, This country was founded by a group of businessmen slash slave owners with lofty ideas who were protecting their bottom line. That's us. That's us. That's it.
Right. And so I mean, I think this will be just putting it in such stark terms should
Mhm,
feel jarring to all
mhm,
of us because it's wrapped up in wrapping paper. Tis the season, right? Wrapped up in
mhm.
wrapping paper that is much prettier than that.
Oh,
Mom,
yes.
Chevrolet, apple pie,
Hmm.
baseball, the Pledge of Allegiance,
Yes.
all of that.
All of the fun stuff we like to talk about, most of it is it's fairy tale.
Hmm.
And every nation does that. Every nation has its fairy tales, but this nation, especially, it's important to have the fairy tale because if we don't adhere to the faith in the fairy tale, we're going to have to look and say, wow, we did some really horrible things and we need to do something about it
So,
because of not just because it's unpleasant. I'm sorry, what were you?
no, go ahead.
Okay, because we don't want to deal with it's the unpleasantness, but it's not only dealing with the unpleasantness of it all, it's dealing with the cost of it, the actual financial cost of taking care of it. And with Pluto, possessiveness, Pluto also rules possessiveness, and it rules other people's values and money at the same time. In the house of our value, we don't really want to spend the currency to acknowledge other people's values.
Right,
And
right.
that's it's very interesting to see how we're playing this game. So we had many opportunities. And one of the biggest ones was the Civil War. And
Yep.
oh my God, we need to fix this. So made a lot of promises. We're definitely going to fix this. Then right after that, there was Reconstruction, looked good for a minute, about a minute. And then there was the end of Reconstruction, where everything not only went back to where it was even worse. And
Now,
then
wait,
you
when
have,
you say that we
yes,
had this chance to fix it,
we had the
that's
chance to
because
fix
that
it.
was the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius. Is that correct?
No, actually, by the time we got to the Civil War, we were way past Pluto and Aquarius. We were because Pluto and Capricorn at 20, they're 30 degrees in a sign. So for the US, Pluto was at 27 degrees, almost out of Capricorn. The
Okay.
next big thing that happened when Pluto went into Aquarius was the French Revolution.
Yeah.
Then several years later, maybe up to 20 years later, we had something else happen. Then we had the Civil War. The Civil War was fought because one part of the nation wanted to keep human beings as chattel, and the other part said, no, we don't want to do that.
Mhm.
So we fought about that. Then we moved on, and as we moved on, there were times when we could have fixed that original thing. Okay, the original thing is we've got slavery and we've stolen other people's land. We can fix that now. Ooh, Civil War, we have a chance. Well, not right now, but we'll do it. Ooh, we have a chance. Continuously down the line in America's history, we've had chances. One of them during World War One. Many promises were made. So many Black people went to the war. Many Native Americans went to the war. Promises were made, yay, but they were broken immediately. And you began to see how women were treated. And those promises were broken immediately. As soon as we're not in crisis, the promises are broken. So our value, our word, that's your value, isn't worth much.
And this is
And
all based on, in the end, money, as you said.
all
Money,
based
people
on
not
money.
wanting to
Yes.
spend the money to
Mm-hmm.
rectify things. I want to just mention a word,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the word woke. We have
Yes.
these
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to wake up, but instead, the word woke has become a pejorative, and yet
Mm-hmm.
nobody thinks about what the opposite of that is. The opposite
Yes.
of that is going back to sleep or staying asleep, which advantages whom? The very people that, as you say, founded the country on this premise of certain people making a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money and everybody
Mm-hmm.
else being in service to that. So the
Right.
goal of those people, like for example, Musk, Trump,
Mm-hmm.
etc., now is anti-woke. Go back to sleep. We have
Mm-hmm.
this chance to wake up, but don't you all wake up because that's not good.
Right. Because that would disturb their bottom line. So, so we had, by the time we got to World War II, I mean, there are instances you can just look through history and see where we promise you we'll do this if you help us with this,
Yeah,
with every marginalized group.
yeah.
And as soon as they got what they wanted, the big they, then they trashed the marginalized group that they had promised some sort of decency. So even to the point of World War II, soldiers came home, veterans came home immediately. Wow, let's have this new act.
The
And
GI
so
Bill.
The GI Bill, yes. And it was great. Everybody loves to talk about it. But what they don't want to talk about is the fact that Black soldiers were purposely, legally, they were refused the right to it. They
Use
couldn't
that
apply
bill.
for it. They were not a part of it. So they were shut out of that. These things continually happen. We have an entire history of every 15 or 20 years, here's an opportunity, and we don't take it. And those all of those opportunities coincide with Pluto.
Mhm. Mhm.
Pluto in various signs, Pluto making various aspects. So we when Pluto came back to its place, which is in Capricorn, it was 248 years later. And that was in 2008. And I asked my students and some
Oh,
clients, what happened in 2008? Some of them say, well, there was a recession. And I say, yes, go on. And very few of them go, oh, Barack Obama was elected. And I said, yes.
right.
And upon his election, I had a friend from England who said to me right after the election, he said, my God, the racism, it's just horrible, it's virulent. I said, you think this is? I said, this is nothing. He said, this is awful. It can't get worse than this. I said, they haven't even scratched the surface yet. I said, there are people out there who don't know they're racist. They're going to find out they're racist. Sure enough, that is what happened. So once Barack Obama was elected, people began to realize that's when you had the Tea Party show up and you had all kinds of the horribleness really began. And so until November 19th of this year, Pluto was in Capricorn. So it just continued to bring up and it can continue to give us opportunities, which we as a people did not take, up to and including voting and who to vote for and how to vote. So since the opportunity wasn't taken, we have to deal with and this is the word because Pluto also rules the digestive system. It's part of it, especially the intestines. So we have to deal with a lot of shit.
Interesting. You know,
Yes.
I think, okay, so I have said numerous occasions, I was like a lot of other people who do this work that you and I do, and I thought I saw Harris winning. And the way that I
Mhm,
put it is she was destined to win. Her
mhm,
destiny was taken from her. And sort of what you're saying is kind of making more sense of that, which is to say, we had opportunities. In other words, there are various timelines. So that's where
mhm.
the free will comes in, right? We had that
Yes.
opportunity to go that way. We chose not to. Therefore, she is not the president-elect.
Right. And I have I agree with you that her destiny was taken from her because and it will start coming out within the next 3, 4, 5 years. It's already beginning to come out, but we're really going to be looking at it as to how it literally was manipulated
Right.
and how it was manipulated. And because
People
there are
ask
no more
me a question
secrets.
because you're an astrologer, so you can make sense of this. People will say to me, well, if it was her destiny, how come she didn't win? They don't understand that destiny is it's a road, but you yourself, pretend I'm Kamala Harris.
Mm,
I may have this destiny. I may have done everything I need to do to fulfill that destiny, but I'm not a solo actor. There are
no.
all kinds of other influences and
Hmm.
intentions that people have, some
Hmm.
good, some not good, that will change the trajectory. I like to tell people that energy is mutable. So, for
Hmm.
example, when I do a prediction, in this moment, that is the energy of the situation. But things can shift and things can change, you know?
They can and they do.
Mhm.
So when you are destined for something, you have to make sure that as you said, the road, the path is clear.
Yeah.
And there are certain things we as human beings don't do because we assume whatever we assume. And there are certain things that we as a nation with Pluto in Capricorn in the second house did, and which is perfectly aligned with manipulating an election, by the way.
Mhm. Mhm.
So now that Pluto has moved out of Capricorn, when Pluto was in Capricorn, that was the easiest time we were going to have to right these wrongs.
Yeah.
And you saw what that was like.
Yeah.
Once it's moved into Aquarius, because you don't get to not have to do the homework because, oh, it's another day. It's just no, the homework's still due. It's just that all the perks aren't there anymore.
Right. You got some extra credit. I mean, not you have an extra assignment that you have to do now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to do it under circumstances that aren't as favorable, but they still have to be done.
Right.
So now that it's in Aquarius, Aquarius, what I love about Aquarius and Pluto and Aquarius, and when you look at, because we don't really, the whole world doesn't talk about the American Revolution. We do here in the US. The whole world talks about the French Revolution
Mhm.
because it was about equality and fraternity and liberation. It was about the brotherhood and the sisterhood of life. It was about that,
Mhm.
about the humanitarian aspects of being. So now that Pluto is in Aquarius, Pluto says, well, we're ready to move on to the next lesson. Those of you who didn't do the homework, Pluto and Capricorn, those of you who didn't do the homework, you have to find a way to catch up.
Mhm.
Now, everybody in the world had Pluto and Capricorn somewhere.
Mhm.
And we've seen that in the rise of the right, and we've seen a lot of things happening with that. However, because we have, as a nation, Pluto here in our own chart, it's very prominent, and we were having a Pluto return, it's big. So now that Pluto has moved on to another sign, it is the sign of the Aquarian. Aquarius is the humanitarian.
Mhm.
Aquarius is the genius aspect of us. It's also the insanity of us too, because often genius is seen as insanity because people don't understand it. Uh, so Pluto has come along to say, now for the next level. And the next level is we have to come together as a people, not only in the world, but certainly down here in the US. We have to come together as a people and we have to clean this up. We have to fix it. If
Now,
we don't fix it, we cannot stay a nation.
right. So one of the things that you just said is that uh, some people got the lesson, but a lot of people didn't. And so now here we are having to redo it. Um, and you said that it has to be harder. I mean, I mean, I'm still stuck at the part where, you know, as I said to my brother, he said, "Oh, that's not PC, Erica." I said, it's like we have to wait for the slow kids to catch up. He said, "Don't say
Mhm,
slow kids." And he's right, don't say slow kids.
mhm,
But it's kind of like that because some people refuse to learn a lesson or haven't learned a lesson. We could go into, for example, an economic decline. We could
mhm,
have a Musk as the shadow president, not so shadowy.
mhm.
Uh, we could have world war that we have to deal with, all because we refused, because of our allegiance and love for that bottom line of the few, mind you, it's not even our bottom line, it's the few.
Right.
We will all have to pay this price.
Yes.
So people,
We will.
I
Yes.
notice that Americans, I always say, we like things quick, fast, and in a hurry. I think
Hmm.
I see a lot of people who say, okay, 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 we get it now. We understand. We're sorry we did that. But the lesson still needs to be learned. It's like if the kid does something and you don't, and there's no punishment attached, and
Hmm.
you say, okay, well, just don't do it next time. All the kid's going to remember is, I got away with it last time. I didn't pay a price. It didn't hurt.
Hmm.
So why not try it again? And that's kind of how we are.
Yes. And that's exactly it. At each instance, every 20 or 30 years that this country had to right this ship, they saw it and said, yeah, that would be an opportunity, but I don't want to do that. So
Yeah,
we're here. We have arrived at what, and I call it that. We're here now. Where are we? We're here now.
yeah.
And now it has to be taken care of. It has to be taken care of. So we have to deal with that aspect. Now, Pluto is no longer in Capricorn, so it's no longer sitting on our Pluto. It is, however, sitting in our South Node. Now, what is the South Node? In
Oh,
astrology, there's a North Node and the South Node.
the South Node is where you've been, right?
No, no. Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes. where
And
you've been.
where we've been. Okay, so so you're saying Pluto is in the South Node.
Pluto, our south node is the early degrees of Aquarius. Pluto
Oh,
right now is at 0 degrees of Aquarius.
uh,
Pluto is going to go, and the south node looks like a cup. It's going to get right into that cup. So everything we were, everything we did, everything we didn't do, it's going to lay that out on the table.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
And when that happens, like I said before, if you didn't like Pluto and Capricorn, you're probably not going to like Pluto in Aquarius in the conjunct together with the South Node because we have to do this now. We have to fix this.
And as you say, it's such an opportunity. So here's an example. I have my audience, I think, is pretty varied, pretty eclectic, but a lot of them are white women who voted for Harris. And I will often refer to the 52% or the 47%. I mean, whatever the percentage is still not great.
Mm-hmm.
Who voted the other way. And I've had white women say to me, you know, when you make reference that way, it makes me feel some type of way. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes
Mm-hmm.
me now. When you talk about Pluto in this cup, I can't help but think of being forced, being required to drink that cup, to not be able to say, well, listen, I'm one of the good ones. I didn't do it. I think that for us as Black people, we got ripped away from where we came from. That's true. But we've
Mm-hmm.
also created this identity as Black people, which is to say we have a collective consciousness that white people don't have. White people are sort of the backdrop against which everything is measured, they think, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how they do the measuring. But until they start looking at themselves collectively in the way that we do, and Black people are not all the same. We are not a monolith,
Mm-hmm.
but we know how to vote like a monolith when it's time,
Right. Mm-hmm.
right? And so discomfort, which is I notice a big thing. I mean, to me, it's the thing that for white people is women particularly is the hardest experience. Being
Mm-hmm.
in that cup is going to mean being in discomfort, swimming in it, feeling like you're going to drown in it, learning how to tread water in it, learning how to pull people along with you as you try to swim up the upstream.
Yes.
Mhm.
The 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 thing is, as I said, I'm an activist. My father was a union organizer and a union member, and I couldn't even imagine going through life without being an activist. You put yourself on the line.
Yeah,
You step into things. It is uncomfortable often enough because that's how change, otherwise, change won't occur.
yeah,
So when people start saying, not me, I'm different, especially when white people or white women specifically start saying, I'm not, I'm one of the good ones, I'm thrilled. I'm happy. I know it. I feel it. That's great. My next question would be to them, and this is when you were in the presence of, did you call it out?
right,
Well, I didn't want to, or I didn't, then no.
right.
You have to, as John Lewis said, make good trouble. You have to be willing to risk everybody not thinking, wow, I really like her. You have to be willing to say, that's not right. I
Yeah,
refuse to stay here for that. You have to be willing to do that because if you don't, then you're only paying lip service. You're doing it when it's convenient for you. And if we want anything to change at all, we have to understand that, it's going to be unpleasant for a while. Maybe it'll get less unpleasant. But when you start being an activist in your world, not just in your life, in your world, you, what you consider unpleasant at first or frightening or scary, it isn't. In very short order, it isn't. There's a great um, great special. It's a special on PBS right now, and I don't remember the name of it, but it's literally about the life of Abraham Joshua Heschel, who was this theologian, and he was phenomenal. And he and Martin Luther King Jr. were contemporaries, and they worked together. And he said something. He said, "Remember, in a free society, some are guilty, but all are responsible."
Right.
And that is the thing to remember. If, well, I wouldn't do that. Yes. So when you saw somebody else do it, what did you do?
Yeah.
That's what makes the difference.
I
There
think
will always be jerks.
I think there is, you know, as much as white people maybe don't have an understanding of themselves as a group, they do understand the tribe concept, and nobody wants to be exempted or ostracized, kicked out of the tribe. And that's always the threat. If you are woke, if you don't
Mhm.
stay asleep, the penalty is potentially ostracism for the tribe. Maybe it's
Mhm.
worth asking yourself, I mean, is this tribe, is it worth that? Is it worth my
Yes.
soul? Is it
I
worth
would say not maybe it's worth, I'd say it's definitely worth. And that the answer has to be, not could be, it might be, the answer has to be anything like this disturbed, it's not worth me being a member of it.
that's what I think
You
people,
have to be willing to say there must be another tribe somewhere.
right?
I have to walk through my desert right now to get there.
Yes. Yes, and
So
maybe you become the leader of the tribe. Maybe you set the example.
maybe so, because when you stand there and say, I'm calling this out, very often you'll look and you'll see there'll be people in the tribe or in the crowd going, thank you. I'm glad you said, who were somebody, you have to say it.
Mhm, mhm.
You have to do it. If you don't say it, if you don't do it, if you don't show up, if you don't take that risk, then one, you're complicit, and two, nothing changes. And three, they come for you
Right,
because eventually you're going to be on the menu too.
right,
So, just looking at how the US's chart is set up, I looked at the year we're going into, 2025. And 2025 is it's a 9 universal year. You look at the numbers 2025, and it adds up to a nine. And in numerology, there are nine numbers.
right.
So 9 years are often difficult years. Difficult because it's the culmination year. It's the year that, oh my God, all the things we were supposed to do in years one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and eight that we didn't do, we have to do now.
Right.
So you know what it's like. It's the night before your homework's due and that science project's due. You haven't got a clue as to what, but it's got otherwise because it's 50% of your grade. So this is going to be a 9 year. It's a year. Nine is also the number of wisdom. And the wisdom that we have will be born of experience. That's the opportunity.
Mhm.
So this year, the Plutonian energy moves on. This year, we have the moon, the moon in anyone's chart, person or circumstance or country in anyone's chart is the real being. The sun is, oh, look, you are a, I'm a, that's great. But it's your moon that tells us who you really are. It's your foundation, your emotional and spiritual foundation. Well, the moon this year, we have a new moon chart. So it means the sun and moon are in the same sign. The moon this year is in Capricorn at 26 degrees, sitting right on top of the Pluto in the US's chart at 27 degrees. This is not over. We're going to keep doing this. That moon at 26 degrees Capricorn for the year 2025 is together. It is 5 degrees together with Pluto in Aquarius. We're not done with Pluto yet, or rather, Pluto's not done with us.
That's- mhm.
So, and it's in the fourth house, the fourth area of who we are basically, our soul, the soul of this nation, the soul of this world, but definitely the soul of this nation. So we're going to get this right.
You
And
think?
right is not, well, right doesn't mean we're going to all be, it'll be kumbaya. No, right means as far as the universe is concerned. So it's not going to be a year of, but I think it's going to be a difficult year in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Well, I know it is. You just look at who just got elected. It's going to be a difficult year in a lot of ways. But this is what we called for. We as a people and as a nation, that's what we insisted on. Didn't call, we insisted on it. So you've got that happening. You've got a new moon chart, which is an opportunity for new life. So opportunity can come, but it's tied. It's tied with Pluto. So this transformation has to occur because Pluto also rules ultimate truth and ultimate healing.
Mhm.
Pluto is going, if Pluto has to break something to fix it, it'll break it.
I say that all the time in Substack as well, is that what we've always done is taken a Band-Aid and slapped it on and said, well, we can't see it, so therefore it's fine. But what's
No,
going on underneath that Band-Aid? Ew.
yeah,
So
exactly.
we need to dig it out. We need to pour, some kind of
Astringent on it. And yes.
and abrade it and everything else.
Mhm.
And it's painful. But that kind of healing, that's
Yes.
deep healing. Deep healing doesn't tickle. It doesn't feel good,
Oh no.
but it's
And
real.
just think about festering flesh. It smells
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
It looks awful,
yeah.
but we have to deal with it.
That's right.
This has to be done. So when I looked at that, I said, okay, so how does the 2025 chart affect the US chart? So how are we going to fare basically?
Right.
Well, again, heavy Pluto moon emphasis. So I told you about the 2025 moon sitting there with Pluto. Well, that 2025 moon is also going to be together with that South Node in Aquarius, just
Mhm.
because it's a different sign, but because if the numbers are close together, it's going to be all of that. So our interaction this year with life in this year is going to be second and third house. Second house values, third house communication. Going to
Ah,
be second, third house.
now second
So
house is what you talked about in the beginning, and that's
yes,
your possessions, money, what you value.
mhm,
Okay.
yes, exactly. And the third house is communication.
Yeah.
It's your environment. So we're going to have to deal with that. Now, the planet Venus, the planet of that rules the second house, by the way, the natural ruler of the second house, planet Venus is in Aquarius. So Venus rules value, self-value, money, all of the second house rules. Planet Venus is at 27 degrees of Aquarius for 2025. The US's moon is 27 degrees of Aquarius. We're not anywhere near done yet. So it's going to be interesting. There is a chance that we can come out of this. And I would say, we usually say come out of this alive. I'd say with Pluto, it's not about that. Something has to die. The
Yeah.
old way has to die.
To die in order for something new to be born. That's right.
Exactly. So we're also the 2025 sun, which is the life force, how you are in the world, how you are, is in opposition. So it's across the table
Mhm.
from the US's sun. So we are going to have to look at ourselves. We're not going to want to look at ourselves like stand here, look at yourself. We're going to have to do that.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting. We're going to watch that circus because it'll be a circus for a
And
while.
I'm assuming that part of the way we will have to look at ourselves is that other countries will be looking at us as well, and we will have to um, sort of metabolize their perceptions, their new perceptions of who we are. We've sold quite a story, a myth, a fairy tale to the world about who we are, but they will see us. I always quote John Proctor from The
Mm.
Crucible by Arthur Miller. He said, "We are as we always were, only naked now."
Yes. I disagree with you with one part. You're saying that the other countries are, no, I do a lot of travel. a
Mhm.
lot of traveling around the world. The other countries have known for a long time who we
I've
are.
known for a long time. Okay.
Yeah, they know who we are. We just never had to
Okay.
deal with it.
So that,
Now,
okay, so that, that again, that's about that woke sleep thing. We
mhm,
think that they think certain things about us, but really
yes.
they see us with clear eyes, that
Oh,
we
they
think
see very
one
clearly.
way and we do something different. Okay, good.
Hmm. Yes, and we are a nation that we believe in throw money at the problem.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So we've thrown money at many problems around the world so much in so many different ways that nobody trusts us as a people. They don't trust us.
You know what will be interesting is that I have quite a large international audience, and I'm really looking forward to hearing them chime in the comments
Mm-hmm.
section about this particular piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We will see what we'll see. There are probably you'll get pushback from Americans more than anyone else because
right.
remember the one thing people don't like to do, no matter who they are, is really look at themselves
That's right.
honestly. And that's where we've arrived at that point. That's what 2008 said. It said, we're here. This is what's going on.
Mhm,
And it's going to carry on
mhm.
at least for the next 19 years because Pluto will be in Aquarius. When we come out of Pluto and Aquarius and move on to Pluto and Pisces, we may not even still be here as a nation
Right,
because Aquarius rules revolution,
right,
Pluto rules transformation.
right,
We will change or we will not be.
right.
It's not an elective. This is it. It's a requirement.
Mhm, mhm.
So when I look to see what's going on, we've got, let's see, 2025's Pluto, which is 27 degrees. Yes, that's definitely we need to know that for the next 5 to 10 years, the dance that goes on between 2025's Pluto and the Pluto and Capricorn that we thought we left behind is going to go on. And we have everything that we have to work on is eventually going to fall into the fourth house, the US's fourth house. The fourth house is ruled naturally by the sign Cancer, by the planet the moon. The
It's the
US
house
is a
of home,
Cancer
right?
country,
It's the
the
house
house
of
of the
home.
home,
Mhm.
the foundation,
Right.
how we build ourselves, what we build on. So we will have an opportunity in the next less than 20 years this is a complete redo. Whether it has to be a tear down or not is still up to us at this point.
Well, so two things come to mind. I think about being a kid listening to Hair,
Mhm,
the musical. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Well, here we are in the age of
mhm,
Aquarius. And I think people, maybe of my generation, of that generation, who think, well, here we are. This is great.
mhm,
But, but there's I don't think we understand the depth, the breadth, the level of the work. And I think that we don't understand also that this is literally what woke means. Woke's been
mhm.
turned into an insult, a pejorative, etc. But this is what it means.
This is what it means. And to take a look at how the word woke, how being awake, how being aware has been turned into something bad.
Yeah.
That's what's happened in this world. And there is right now a lot of ministers are saying that parishioners are coming up to them saying, well, when you spoke about the Christ words in the Sermon on the Mount, where did all of those woke liberal words come from? And when they were told, no, from the Bible, and they say, then you need to change that. That Jesus was wrong. And it's like, wow, you're willing to, when people don't want to look, they will make God wrong.
Well, look at the Christo nationalist movement. I mean, they
Hmm.
put Jesus in fatigues with an assault rifle. That's right.
Yes. Yes. And if anybody complains or says it's not that way, well, one, that person has to go. And two, if they have to let go of something, they will let go of Jesus.
Right.
They will say they pray and that Jesus is their savior, but they will let go of that.
Right.
So we're going to find out what people are really what they're really committed to. We already know what they're committed to because we're looking at it.
Right.
Now we're going to this is where the rubber meets the road because during the age of revolution, Pluto and Aquarius, this is the transformation will occur because it is occurring because there's no other way. There's nothing else for it to do. If
But
we had chosen differently, we would still be in a revolution, but it would be a different kind.
well, that's the thing. I mean, we can morph into one thing or the other. I mean, there's no
Mhm.
guarantee that we are going to do this fifth dimension
Yes. Mhm.
kumbaya type
Mhm.
transformation. I mean, we could go completely the other
Mhm.
way.
Yes. But even if we go the other way and annihilate ourselves, Pluto doesn't care. Its job will still be done.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, yes, it's not about personality anymore. It's, I have a job to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
With Pluto, you either comply or you are annihilated.
Hmm.
There will no longer be use for you.
Hmm.
So where the US is that's where we're at. And most of, I think, our troubles come from believing the myth that we've been told about what the US is. It's a great story,
Yeah,
but
great.
it's a myth. It's always been a myth.
Hmm.
And what we have to do is we have to come to, okay, I have to turn around and face this.
And say, if it's not that, then what do we want it to be? And what are we willing to do in order to
Yes,
let it become that?
exactly. So this year will be this 9 year, this culmination year, this year of that's when you really, when you look at the nine, it's like I call nine the salad bowl number
Mm-hmm.
because that's when you look into the bowl and you look at all of the ingredients and you say, oh, for me, it's like, oh, that's a Caesar salad. I don't like croutons. Well, let's take them out. Well, I love anchovies. Let's put extras in. Right now, that's where we're at. We're entering salad bowl time. What kind of salad do you want?
Right,
Because that's what's being served salad.
right. And who are you, the crouton or the anchovy?
Yes. So to live in truth is a lot of people say to me, wow, you're really strong and you're courageous. And I say, I have no other choice.
Right, exactly,
Because if I am not courageous, then I'm going to get run over by all the BS.
exactly.
And that's how I'm not going with that. No, that's not going to happen.
I think, people will say that sort of writ large about Black women. Oh, they're
Hmm.
so strong. They're so, well, as opposed to what? I mean, what is the alternative?
Yes, exactly. I'm not, I see what you do. I don't want you running my life.
Hmm.
So I'll be over here running my life.
Right.
That's really going to work best. I work in I work in a spiritual way. I always do with
Hmm.
everything I do. I work in it though, not in up there woo woo. I bring it down here because we're here.
That's right.
There's gravity, there's dirt under our nails, all of that. And we have to deal with what all of that will work here.
Hmm.
And all of that, lovely songs, great choir robes, but not dealing with the fact of the matter is we're down here now.
You know what? That brings up okay. So you and I are we know a lot of the same people,
Mhm.
and I guess we could call it what would we call it? The magical community.
Mhm.
But they're also in the salad bowl. They don't want to be. They'd rather
Yes.
talk about ethereal things.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but that community as well is going to have a reckoning in terms of
Everybody.
everybody, everybody.
Nobody gets, there's no hall passes.
No, no,
Everybody. Because everybody needs, we all need it. As much as I don't want some of the things that are going to be happening, I know they're necessary.
right. That's right,
And there won't be change if there's not change.
right.
And you can't say, well, why don't you change first? No, everybody is being called on. We're all having to do it.
Yeah. The example I always comes to mind is, do you remember the Waltons, the TV show? So they had a
Hmm.
black character on, and she did laundry. And so her daughter came home from college. Well, how's
Hmm.
she at college? Because the woman is washing people's laundry from can't see in the morning till can't see at night. And the girl's sitting there in the chair, and she's just like this. Meanwhile, the mother's ironing, and the girl says, I don't really think I want to go back to for my next semester. And the mother said, What do you mean? And she said, I'm really tired. And I'll never forget this. I saw this when I was a child. She puts the iron up and she looked at her and she said, You're tired? You can rest when you're dead.
Thank you.
And I think, you and I certainly live by that philosophy. And I think
Hmm.
it's really why are we here? We came here for a reason. We're here to help the planet, you
Hmm.
know, get itself together. And so
Yes.
if you're tired, take a nap, eat something, and then
Hmm.
come on,
Get back to it.
back to it.
Yes. Yeah, this planet Earth, people think planet Earth is a vacation spot.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a work planet. It's a factory. It's a
Dense,
farm. It's a
hard.
processing plant. You get a few days or a few weeks off, but you're expected to show right up again and stand in your place and do whatever it is you came here to do. And the more we acknowledge that, the less difficult that work is.
Right,
The more we acknowledge that, the more we're just living our lives.
right. And giving our lives the purpose that we came here to give them.
Yes. It's it's living with respect for ourselves, respect for other people, respect for this whole life system.
Right,
And there are plenty of things you can do when you want a break. You can say, I'm taking this time off to go shopping, take a nap, go swimming, watch TV, go to a movie. Fine. Plenty of things. And then you come back.
right,
And that taking a nap, going shopping is a part of your purpose, just as that coming back to picking up the iron or picking up the books or whatever form yours takes.
right, right. Well, you
So,
know what, Sheila? I'm going to have you back if you'll come
mm. Well,
because
I would love to.
I think
Yes.
you're terrific. I think you make
Thank you.
things really understandable and clear. Uh, and I think you're very motivating. And I know
Mhm.
my audience is going to love you. And I'd love to have you back.
Well, I would love to be back and thank you. It's yeah, this is like I said, I'm a child of an activist and I am an activist. And even when I can't keep my mouth shut, I sometimes I'll say, if you could just, no, I can't.
Right? Because we're
So
here and we have things to do.
we have things to do. So I am all for, I would love to come back and we can continue talking about the astrology of, and
Love
perhaps
to.
as the year begins, we can see, oh my God. So
I love that. I love that. I know my audience would as well. But thank you
mhm,
so much.
you're very welcome. Thank you. And Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you too. All right,
Mhm, thank
everybody.
you.
I will see you next week. Take care.